Good morning, students. Last class we discussed about our, what is our objective of the subject and what are the outcomes we are expecting and what is the industrial applicability, and briefly we discussed about syllabus. So today onwards we will start our lectures. The first unit, today we will start with first unit. In the first unit, we will discuss two parts. One is air standard cycles. Second one, introduction to IC engines. Air standard cycles, in that air standard cycles only we are discussing Otto cycle, diesel cycle, and thermal efficiency of Otto cycle, diesel cycle, and comparison of Otto cycle and diesel cycle. And we will solve some simple problems also. This is the first part. We will complete in this week. Next week we will start introduction to IC engines. In that, energy conversion, classification of IC engines, working principle of two-stroke, four-stroke engines, and its application. Some of the syllabus we will cover more syllabus also, because wall-time diagram, port-time diagram also we will cover. Coming to the, before starting a standard cycle, any cycle means it's a combination of process, initial state equal to final state, then it is called cycle. Cycle combination of process already mentioned. We know in thermodynamics only four process, non-reversible process. One is isobaric process, second one is isochoric process, third one is isothermal process, fourth one is isoentropic process. These four processes only we know. So majority of the cycles are all combination of these four process. Maybe two process or three process, four process. So this one we already detailedly we discussed. We derived the relations. We derived the maximum work output equation. Derived the maximum heat transfer equations. Based on these three four processes are reversible process. In that condition, we derived the equations also. Just I am recalling because directly we are using these relations for measurement of measurement of not measurement for determination of maximum thermal efficiency of the cycles. So first one, isobaric process. What is the law? Pressure is constant. Isochoric process. What is the law? Volume is constant. Isothermal process. What is the law? Temperature is constant. Coming to the isoentropic process. What is the law behind it? PV power gamma equal to constant. Coming to the slope of the line. Isobaric process slope is 0 because horizontal line slope is 0. Isochoric process slope is infinite. Isothermal process slope is 1. Next, isoentropic process slope is gamma. Next, coming to the specific heats. Isobaric process specific heat is C suffix P. Isochoric process C suffix V. Coming to isothermal process is infinite. Why it is infinite means in isothermal process generally sensible heat means mcp delta t or mcv delta t, but here delta t is 0. There is no temperature difference, but heat transfer is taking place. At constant temperature heat transfer is taking place. That's why phase change is occurring, solid to liquid, liquid to vapor, or solid to vapor. That's why the specific heat at isothermal process is infinite. Isoentropic process specific heat is 0 because there is no heat transfer. Temperature difference is there, there is no heat transfer. Then it is called isoentropic process. That is specific heat is 0. Coming to the relations, isobaric process V1 by T1 equal to V2 by T2. Why? Because pressure is constant. Isochoric process, volume is constant, then P1 by T1 equal to P2 by T2. Coming to the isothermal process, here temperature is constant, then P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. A adiabatic process, reversible adiabatic and isentropic process. It is important. Why? Because in all cycle, adiabatic process is common process for work production or work supply. Generation of the work or work absorption. Majoritarily, all process, majority process are following adiabatic only. So this relation is very much important. First relation P1 V1 power gamma equal to P2 V2 power gamma. Next, temperature to volume T2 by T1 equal to V1 by V2 whole power gamma minus 1. Third one T2 by T1 equal to P2 by P1 whole power 1 minus 1 by gamma. These three relations very much important for determination of the efficiencies or mean effective pressures or work output. And next, work. If we are assuming is a closed system, so work equal to integral PdV. For isobaric process, pressure is constant P into change in volume, P into V2 minus V1. Isochoric process, volume is constant, so there is no change in volume, automatically it is a 0. Isothermal process, P1 V1 into ln V2 by V1, or P1 V1 you can substitute by MR T1, MR T1 ln V2 by V1, or isoentropic process P1 V1 minus P2 V2 by gamma minus 1. Coming to the maximum heat transfer, MCP delta T is the maximum heat transfer for isobaric process. Isochoric process MCV delta T. Isothermal process same as a work output P1 V1 ln V2 by V1. Heat transfer also same equation we derived P1 V1 into ln V2 by V1. So you see here work output and heat transfer both are same. That's why in isothermal process is very good process. There is no accumulation of internal energy. Whatever the heat we are supplying, total heat is converted as a work. That's why in Carnot cycle for heat supply we are assuming isothermal process. Why? Because total heat whatever we are supplying to the system, the total heat will convert as a work. But it is a slow process. Phase change is occurring. So it is a slow process. Coming to the heat transfer in isoentropic process. In isoentropic process, heat transfer is 0. Why? Because whatever the change in internal energy, total change in internal energy will convert as a work. There is no heat loss. That's why majoritarily all work interactions generally we are following isoentropic process. So this is a brief recall of the relations of different process. This is very much important for us. Without that we can't determine the further efficiencies of cycles. So I think this is sufficient. Coming to today's air standard cycles. 1 minute. Yes. In air standard cycles, oh, in air standard cycles, basic internal combustion engine processes we convert into a standard cycle. So first of all, first we discuss about what happening in internal combustion engine. Then how the processor came, how the cycle assumed, what are the assumptions compared to real cycle to a standard cycle, what is the difference. We can understand easily. We can digest also easily. So initially first we see what are the processor takes place in the internal combustion. First intake. I think every student, majority of students have now two-wheelers. I think you can see in the engine from the carburetor, air fuel mixture is entering into the engine. That stroke is intake. After intake, what we are doing? Compression. At that time, to both valves will close. Compression will occur. So intake, suction of the fuel from the carburetor, or in diesel cycle suction of the air through the filter inside the engine. So second process compression. The third process combustion. You see by the spark plug we are giving the spark, automatically it will generate flame front and total combustion of the fuel will take place. One method in spark ignition engine. Second one, diesel engines, we are injecting the fuel. Already air have high temperatures more than self-ignition temperature of fuel. Automatically fuel first absorb the heat, later it will reach the self-ignition temperature and catch the fire and the combustion will complete. So finally combustion is the third process. After combustion, sudden explosion of the power will come into the picture, but it is a closed system. In closed system, all boundaries are real and movable. This is real, movable and fixed. Here boundaries are real: head, cylinder and piston. But head, cylinder is fixed boundaries, piston is movable boundary. Automatically piston start moving from top dead center to bottom dead center. Expansion, this is the power stroke. Expansion is taken. After expansion, we have to throw the all exhaust gas. Otherwise, we can't intake the fresh charge. Fresh charge intake, then cycle will repeat. So, the last process is exhaust. This is the realistic cyclic operation of internal combustion engine. For simplification of analysis, what we did, we removed the intake and exhaust. Simple. There is no intake and exhaust. Why? Because it's a closed cycle. There is no intake exhaust. Whatever the mediator is, it is rotating inside. So fixed mass. Generally in two-wheelers or four-wheelers, when we are in a hill station area, what we are doing? We are giving more acceleration. If more acceleration means more air fuel mixture, we are sucking inside the cylinder. So mass of entry is changing in real condition. But in air standard cycles, we assumed mass is fixed. And heat, how they are supplying heat in air standard cycles? Heat from the external reservoir. Reservoir already discussed in heat engines of thermodynamic subject. So we are taking heat from the external reservoir is called source. So there is no combustion phenomena, there is no chemical phenomena. So air standard cycle is differing from real cycle. Some of the assumptions we will discuss now. Why we are doing this? So for the simplification of the analysis, easy analysis we are doing, and the mediator also we are assuming is a perfect gas. That's why name itself we given air as a working medium. Air we will call as a perfect gas. So these are the process. You can see intake, compression, combustion, expansion and exhaust. That's all. So what are the assumptions? I already mentioned. First one, the mediator we selected air, name itself air standard cycle. So it is obey the gas laws. Characteristic gasification PV equal to MRT. There is no change in the mass of working medium. This one already mentioned. All the process that constitute the cycle are reversible, no doubt at all. All the process that constitute of cycle is reversible. It is assumed to be supplied from the constant high temperature source, not from the chemical reaction. And heat loss, how we are doing? Just exhausting the exhaust gas, but here we are not exhausting. So same mass is rotating. So heat loss to the sink. So two reservoirs we are connected our cycle. One reservoir high temperature source is supplying heat. One reservoir is connected low temperature sink. We are rejecting heat to the sink. So same mediator we can circulate in our cycle. It is assumed that there are no heat loss from the system to the surrounding. Next, the working medium has a constant specific heat. Because specific heat always depend on temperature. So in the cycle, every process have different temperatures and pressures. So every process specificity changing, but simplification of analysis, we assume specificity is a constant. So these are the assumptions we made from realistic cycle to the A standard cycle. Main target simplification of the analysis. In end examination, some different titles they may ask. A standard cycle differs from the actual by the following. How the air standard cycle is different, or what are the assumptions of air standard? Any title they can ask a question. What is differ means this one. There is no intake and exhaust. Real cycle have intake and exhaust, and we are supplying heat from the combustion process. Real cycle here from the external source. Heat loss exhausting the combusted fuel, combusted gases. But here we are just releasing the heat to the sink. The mediator is constant mass. But in an actual cycle, according to the load, the intake mass, intake charge is changing. So these are the some differences. Next, nomenclature, the basic nomenclature. Vocabulary in thermodynamics also introduction time we discussed some nomenclatures, like what is system, what is cycle, what is path, what is process, what is the state, what is the property, what is the steady flow, what is the uniform flow. Different nomenclatures we introduced here, related to engine components we introduced. You see, this is bore. This diameter of the cylinder or diameter of the piston is called bore. Area, cross-sectional area of the piston. This is the area of the piston. Cross-sectional area means pi by 4 d square, not pi radial. That is pi radial surface area. Cross-section area pi by 4 d square. And stroke length. This is the dead center where the reversal direction of the piston is taking place. Extreme to the crankshaft is called top dead center. Nearer to the crankshaft is called bottom dead center. This reversal of direction is called dead center. So piston is moving from top dead center to bottom dead center, bottom dead center to top dead center. One movement of piston from TDC to BDC or BDC to TDC is called one stroke. Okay. Now, what is the volume? This is the stroke length, and area is pi by 4 d square. Pi by 4 d square into L is called combustion volume, combustion chamber volume. In the engine, generally any bike you are purchasing, there they are writing 120 cc engine, 150 cc engine, 100 cc engine, or Enfields like that means 220 cc engine, 350 cc engine. What is that cc? Cubic centimeter, the combustion chamber volume. How we are calculating is piston area pi by 40 square and into stroke length. That's all, simple calculation. Okay. And clearance volume, generally we are one more vocabulary continuously is coming. Clearance volume means once piston reach TDC condition, the volume available in between piston head and piston to head of the cylinder and piston crown, what are the gap is there, that volume is called clearance volume. Means clearance volume indirectly after compression of the air fuel mixture or air, whatever the volume is there, that volume is called clearance volume. Again we are getting the one more word is called compression ratio. Compression ratio R equal to then total volume. Total volume is this clearance volume and this stroke volume. The total volume to the clearance volume is called compression ratio. The compression ratio, any ratios is greater than 1. So total volume divided by clearance volume, or volume before compression by volume after compression, is called compression ratio. Volume before compression is total volume divided by a volume after compression means clearance volume is called compression ratio. I think this nomenclature is sufficient at present for completion of derivation of Carnot cycle and Otto cycle. Later we discussed remaining relations. So you can see here, you can write, oh sorry, later we can write this V total means clearance volume plus stroke volume Vs. V stroke volume Vs plus and Vc divided by Vc is called compression ratio. Compression ratio always greater than 1. Okay, next. Next, coming to the so nomenclature we discussed. Next, we discussed about what are the assumptions of a standard cycle, why we did the assumptions for simplification of the problem. And generally, before starting any standard cycle or any vapor cycle, generally we are discussing Carnot cycle. What is the beauty of the Carnot cycle means why we want to discuss Carnot cycle? First reason, why? Because in thermodynamics there is no 100% efficiency. The first point, in thermodynamics there is no 100% efficiency. It is the first point. The second point, how much efficiency, maximum possible efficiency of the cycle is required. 100 is not possible, how much is possible? So one imaginary cycle, or we have to assume and we have to calculate, that is the benchmark efficiency for us. For that purpose only, generally we every time we are discussing Carnot cycle before starting any standard cycle or vapor cycle. Now first we will discuss about the cycle. In Carnot cycle constitute of four process. Any cycle, majority of cycles are four process. In dual cycle only we have five process. In the four process, first process 1 to 2 is isothermal heat addition. You can see this is the PV diagram, representation of Carnot cycle in PV diagram and representation of Carnot cycle in TS diagram also. Both at a time I am visualizing. 1 to 2 isothermal heat addition. You can see 1 to 2 is isothermal heat addition. Here 1 to 2 you see temperature is constant, so isothermal heat addition in horizontal line. Coming to the second process 2 to 3, adiabatic expansion. 2 to 3 is adiabatic expansion in PV diagram also you can see. Next 3 to 4, isothermal heat rejection. 3 to 4 is isothermal heat rejection and 4 to 1 is adiabatic compression. So it's constitute of four process. For initial state and final state is same, so it's a cycle. So isothermal heat addition, adiabatic work production. Construction of the engine also you can see. See engine simple cylinder and piston arrangement. Head, two types of head we are using. One is dithermic head, second one is adiabatic head. Means sometimes head will act as an insulator, sometimes head will act as a best heat transfer mediator. So two things head has to work. So you can see next isothermal heat transfer. Why Carnot is selected isothermal heat transfer means at the time of heat supply also it is producing work. You can see piston is moving from TDC to in between somewhere. While we are supplying heat, piston is moving, means whatever the heat I am supplying, total heat is converted as a work. There is no accumulation of internal energy. So at the time of heat supply also we are producing work. That's why Carnot selected isothermal process. And next, adiabatic expansion. What is the beauty of adiabatic expansion? There is no heat loss. Whatever the internal energy of the mediator is there, further expansion of the fuel piston expansion will take place. Then piston, further movement of the piston will take place and it will reach the bottom dead center. So in theoretically we are assuming by heat supply also it is producing work, by adiabatic expansion also it is producing work. But in a practical, what is the problem? Isothermal process is a slow process. Too slow. Why? Because we want to change the phase. Solid to liquid or liquid to vapor or solid to vapor. Changing phase it will consume more time. You can visualize or practice yourself. In deep freeze you place ice, water. For making ice it will take 2 hours, 3 hours. For cooling water it may be take to 20 minutes, 30 minutes you can cool the water. But making ice it will take more time. So changing of phase it will take. Second one, adiabatic process. Zero heat loss. You visualize zero heat loss practically possible. When it is possible at too fast operation, then only zero heat loss is possible. So it is a too slow, too fast. In one cycle constitute of slow and fast process, practically not possible. One drawback. Second one you can see a head, replacement of head every time. I want to supply heat 1 to 2 process isothermal heatation. At that time head want to act as the best thermal conductor. Again 2 to 3 adiabatic expansion. At that time head want to act as an insulator. Same head will not act as two materials. So every time I want to change head, it is practically is possible? Not possible. So that's why Carnot cycle practically not possible. But whatever the efficiency we are getting by the Carnot cycle operation, that is our benchmark efficiency. As an engineer, I can't produce more than that efficiency in practical condition. But 100 not possible. How much is possible is required for that benchmark performance purpose only we are calculating the Carnot cycle thermal efficiency. So first A standard cycle we are discussing Carnot. Why we are discussing Carnot? I think this explanation is sufficient. You see, generally any thermal efficiency of cycle means work done by the system during the cycle divided by heat supply to the system. Work done by the system divided by heat supply. Work done, all are known. Heat supply means heat rejection. These all things we already discussed in heat engines, thermodynamics. Next, work done equal to heat supply minus work done equal to heat supply minus heat rejection. Here heat supply equal to MR T1 ln of V2 by V1. There in the equations I already discussed. P1 V1 ln V2 by V1. In place of it is a characteristic gas loss, it is obeys characteristic gas law. Why? Because we mediator we selected as a perfect gas. So automatically PV equal to MRT. So in place of P1 V1 I replaced by MRT1. So heat supply equal to MRT1 ln V2 by V1. Heat rejection. Here heat rejection is taking place where? This one. T3 equal T4. So automatically heat rejection equal to MR T3 into ln V3 by V4. And adiabatic relations. Why? Because this 2 to 3 and 4 to 1 is adiabatic process. Just I wrote the adiabatic relations of temperature and volume. T3 by T2 equal to V2 by V3 whole power gamma minus 1. Then V2 by V3 equal to T3 by T2 whole power 1 by gamma minus 1. And next adiabatic compression process 4 to 1. Here also you can see T4 by T1 equal to V1 by V4 whole power gamma minus 1, or V1 by V4 equal to T4 by T1 whole power 1 by gamma minus 1. So then V2 by V3 equal to V1 by V4, or why? Because here directly I wrote the equality. Why? Because T3 equal to T4. You see, T3 equal to T4, T2 equal to T1. Why? Because the constant temperature, heat addition, constant temperature, heat rejection. So T1 equal T2 and T3 equal T4. So both are equal. This both ratios are same. T3 equal T4, T2 equal T1. So automatically the volume ratios also equal. V2 by V3 equal to V1 by V4, or V2 by V1 equal to V3 by V4, that is equal to R, compression ratio. Why? Because compression ratio I already mentioned, volume before expansion, volume before compression by volume after compression is called compression ratio. This is the ratio, I think nomenclature I will show. This is things. Compression ratio. It is a total cylinder volume when piston at the bottom dead center to the clearance. So here compression ratio and expansion ratio is same. Why? Because heat addition is done by isothermal process. Same process. If I change heat addition by constant volume and heat rejection by constant pressure like that, then compression ratio and expansion ratio is not same. But here both process isothermal. You can see both ratios are equal. Here compression ratio equal to expansion ratio, then it's called R denoted. Just I substituted the same equation. Efficiency of Carnot cycle, heat supply minus heat rejection divided by heat supply. If compression ratio, expansion ratio denoted by R, MRT1 ln R minus MRT3 ln R divided by MRT1 ln R. Automatically MR ln R small r will cancel. Final equation will get T1 minus T3 by T1, or 1 minus T3 by T1. T3 means lowest temperature of the cycle, and T1 means highest temperature of the cycle. This is T1 equal to T2, highest temperature, lowest temperature. So 1 minus lowest temperature of the cycle divided by highest temperature is called Carnot cycle efficiency. So I think derivation is easy and simple. Explanation of Carnot cycle also good. So here efficiency of the Carnot cycle means 1 minus lowest temperature of cycle by highest temperature. Don't bother about the numbers. Numbers according to cycle. In cycle whatever the numbers is provided, same numbers are coming at the end of the derivation. But final efficiency of Carnot cycle means 1 minus T3 by. So this efficiency of Carnot cycle is not depend on the mediator. It is not depend on mediator, it is not depend on pressure, it is not depend on volume, size of the engine. It is only depend on operating temperature, the source and sink temperature. That's all. 1 minus sink temperature by source temperature is called the Carnot cycle efficiency. Once we determine, we know the source and sink temperature of any cycle. First we will determine the Carnot efficiency. 1 minus sink temperature by source temperature. Maybe 60 percentage or 50% or 55 or 65, 70, whatever the efficiency we are getting. That is our benchmark efficiency. Our real cycle efficiency not crossing that one. If it is crossing means something is wrong. We have to cross verify ourselves. I think it's a Carnot. I think Carnot cycle is clear. The main drawback of Carnot cycle, it is a combination of too slow and too fast process. Later scientists are worked a lot and they replaced some of the process by the new process and developed new cycles. On that, so many new cycles are developed like Otto cycle, DC cycle, Atkinson cycle, Ericsson cycle, Joule cycle, Stirling engine cycle, Rankine cycle, so many dual cycle, so many cycles are developed. And practically we are using 4 to 5 cycles. In coming to the air standard cycles means generally we are using for transport sector Otto cycle and diesel cycle, for power generation Joule cycle, and power generation in coming to the vapor cycles we are using this Rankine cycle for power generation, refrigeration Brayton cycle we are using. So limited cycles we are using. For solar power generation we are using Stirling cycle. Solar concentration disk based power generation system we are using Stirling. These are the cycles practically implemented. Remaining cycle practically not implemented with some constraints. So now we start to discuss about the A standard cycles for automobile sector. For internal combustion engine first we will discuss. Later some other next units we will discuss on vapor cycles also. So coming to the first cycle, this is called Otto cycle. So now coming to the Otto cycle, Nicholas Otto 1876, he proposed a constant volume heat addition. Drawback of Carnot cycle is identified. So slow and fast process. So now this isothermal heat addition replaced by constant volume heat addition. Isothermal heat rejection is replaced by constant volume heat rejection. That's all. Work done in adiabatic process. So Nicholas Otto proposed a constant volume heat addition cycle. At present, which one is using in our day-to-day life? All spark ignition engines are uh, working on based on Nicholas Otto cycle. Spark ignition engines or petrol engines or gasoline engines all are working on Otto cycle. The major difference between Carnot cycle and Otto cycle means heat addition in Carnot cycle is isothermal process. In Otto cycle, the heat addition is constant volume process. Now we will explain the Otto cycle. Then after we will derive the efficiency equation. You see, Otto cycle 1 to 2. So 0 to 1 I represent by, because in actual cycle we are taking intake of the air fuel mixture. After intake, we are compressing adiabatically 1 to 2. The first process, adiabatical compression, or here in TS diagram also you can see 1 to 2 adiabatic compression. Next 2 to 3 constant volume heat addition, you can see 2 to 3 constant volume heat addition. Next, 3 to 4, again adiabatic expansion or isoentropic. You can see in TS diagram entropy is constant, so adiabatic expansion in straight line we are from 3 to 4. Here 4 to 1 constant volume utilization. Volume is constant means in PV diagram volume is shown vertically 4 to 1 constant volume utilization. Then after exhaust generally is taking place, but here there is no exhaust. So Otto cycle is constitute of 1 to 2 adiabatic compression, 2 to 3 constant volume heat addition, 3 to 4 adiabatic expansion, and 4 to 1 constant volume heat rejection. Here also in TS diagram 1 to 2 adiabatic are reversible isothermal sorry isoentropic process, and 2 to 3 constant volume heat addition, 3 to 4 adiabatic expansion, and 4 to 1 constant volume heat rejection. So here you can observe, here maximum temperatures and maximum pressures will occur after heat addition, not after compression. After compression, this is the second stage. This is not maximum temperature, this is not maximum pressure. But after heat addition, this is the maximum pressure of the cycle. After heat addition, this is the maximum temperature of the cycle. So in Otto cycle, the maximum pressure and maximum temperature will occur after heat addition. This is clear? So, I think in end examinations, you may get the questions like that. Explain Otto cycle with schematic diagram of PV and TS, or PV or TS. Then neatly draw the sketch and explain the process 1 to 2. Adiabatic compression. Here compression of air fuel mixture will take place. 2 to 3 heat addition. After iteration, we are reaching the maximum peak pressure, peak temperature. Then expansion, piston will start moving from TDC to BDC, top dead center to bottom dead center. Here, this is the process where we are in the entire cycle. This is only the process producing the power. Next, 4 to 1 heat rejection. Again, same air will compress 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. This is a cyclic operation. The main difference of Otto cycle and Carnot cycle means only heat addition and heat rejection. In Carnot cycle, heat addition and heat rejection by isothermal process. In Otto cycle, heat addition and heat rejection by constant volume process. I think with this today's I am stopping my lecture. Just I will revise what we discussed today. Today we discussed just each process relation, in each process relation of pressure, volume, temperature, isobaric process, isochoric process, isothermal process, isoentropic process, and the very much important isoentropic process. Why? Because every cycle constitutes of isoentropic process, work interactions. So this relation was very much important for determination of the efficiencies, thermal efficiencies, work done, mean effective pressure. Here, three relations between pressure and volume: P1 V1 power gamma equal to P2 V2 power gamma. Temperature volume: T2 by T1 equal to V1 by V2 whole power gamma minus 1. And temperature and pressure: T2 by T1 equal to P2 by P1 whole power 1 minus 1 by gamma. And one more observation of isothermal process: work done equal to heat transfer. So there is no accumulation of energy, internal energy. So whatever the heat we are supplying, total heat will convert as a work. And one more observation in adiabatic process: there is no heat loss. The change in internal energy total will convert as a work. And one third observation: the specific heat at isothermal process is infinite. Why? Because there is no temperature difference. Heat transfer is taking place. In the specific heat at isoentropic process is zero. Why? Because there is no heat transfer. So these three observations are very much important. Why? Because in end exam, in a competition examination, you may get the questions. Coming to the A standard cycles, first we understand the what are the processes taking place in internal combustion engine: intake, suction of the fuel, air fuel, next compression, next combustion, next expansion or power stroke, next exhaust. These are the stages. These stages, for simplification of understanding, we remove the intake and exhaust. We compressed the fuel, and combustion is replaced by heat addition, expansion. Then there is no exhaust, heat loss. So heat addition and heat loss will take place from the external reservoir. If we are absorbing heat means high temperature source, or we are rejecting heat is a low temperature sink. Some more assumptions are there. The working medium is a perfect gas, so it obeys the natural gas laws, PV equal to MRT. There is no change in the mass of the working medium. All processes cycle are reversible, and heat addition by the source, external source, not by the chemical reaction. Heat rejection to external sink, and there is no heat loss from the engine. But practically, you can observe when while running of the engine, some heat loss will take place, and working medium specificity is same. Then after some nomenclature, we discussed what is the bore, what is the piston area, what is tube, what is the swept volume. There is the CC of the engine, and what is the dead center, clearance volume. After compression, what is the volume is available in the cylinder between the piston crown and the cylinder head is called clearance volume, or after compression volume is called clearance volume. Total volume to the clearance volume is called compression ratio. Then Carnot cycle we discussed thoroughly. We discussed about Carnot cycle. Two isothermal heat addition, heat rejection, isoentropic process, or reversible adiabatic process, mm, work production and work supply. And we derived the efficiency of the cycle. In the finally, we got 1 minus sink temperature by source temperature. So Carnot cycle efficiency depend on temperature only, not on volume, not on pressure. Next, we discussed Otto cycle. Otto cycle is a combination of a constant volume and adiabatic process. In Carnot cycle, realize is practically not possible. Why? Because one too slow process, one too fast process. Here they replaced two slow process by constant volume process. A constant volume heat addition, constant volume heat rejection. Remaining two processes are same: adiabatic expansion and adiabatic compression. I think with this today we are stopping our lecture. And next class we will complete Otto cycle derivation, and we will solve some problems on Otto cycle. Thank you.